Oh. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hariom and good evening from Niagara Falls. This morning, when you woke up, did you have to confirm what your name is? Did you have to check your driver's license or your passport to ensure that what you think your name is actually your name? Yes, anyone? This morning, when you woke up, and suppose you brush your teeth, did you have to look in that mirror and confirm that this is the body that you think you are? That you had to touch to see if these nerves are registering in your brain? You intimately know your name in your body. And intimately still sounds separate. You know this with the level of oneness. But that wasn't always the case. If you go to a name, for those who are married and you've changed your last name, then if someone says so and so, sometimes you don't register that, yes? Vyasa probably doesn't know his name right now. He doesn't know certain parts of his body. I'm trying to teach him what his nose is. So at a time, we weren't identified so fully with this name and this body. This Atma Bodha course, Atma Bodha, is trying to guide us to Aham Brahmasmi. Atma Bodha, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi is, I am not just a name, I am not just a body, I am all names, I am all bodies. If you think of I right now, this I feels like Aham Dukkhasmi, isn't it? That I'm sad. I'm sad because this person said this to me, and I'm sad because this is changing and not enough people support my ideas. But when we make Atma Bodha real, it will be Aham Sukhasmi, that I am happiness. I'm not happiness because I'm happiness, period. As intimately as we know our name and our body, so intimately, we have to know that our nature is infinite. And now, as many of you are hearing this for the first time. Brahman, infinitude. In our Bhagavad Gita course, we were studying what dhyana is, what contemplation is. And we had shared, contemplation is freeing the mind from that which is limited and fixing the mind on that which has no limits. So freeing and fixing. If this idea that you are more than what you think you are is too much, just slowly free your mind. Keep your mind open to the possibility that you are more than what you've lived as for years, for decades. An open mind is most important for self-development. A review of Shloka 4. And I'll review this in the form of a story. Many of you have heard me share this story before. One evening, as a mandir was closing, then the curtains were drawn, the pujari locked the door, and the marble floor began a dialogue with the marble murti, with the idol. And that floor said, "Why is it that you and I, we came from the same place? Yet when people come here, they offer you food, they offer you prayers, they offer you tears, and to me, they walk on me, they drop stuff on me, they completely ignore me. Why the difference?" And that marble murti said to the marble floor, "You are right, we did come from the same ore within the earth. However, I then allowed myself to be chipped, chiseled, smoothened, broken, cracked, molded, to take on this shape, to take on this presence, but you didn't. You came out of the earth and you were put on the ground." So you see, within marble, there is a murti, and all we have to do is remove the covering to be able to see that murti. And the same applies within ourselves, that we are divine, but we have to remove the coverings. And removing the coverings doesn't mean you shave your head. It doesn't mean you only wear white clothes. It means you unmask yourself, that I'm not just the body, not just the breath, and on and on and on. This is the concept of swayam. To see the pillow over there, the lights have to be on in this ashram. And if the lights are not on, then I can't see that pillow. Now to see the sun, do I need another light? The sun is swayam prakashayati, it's self-shining. Our nature is self-illumining. Our nature is self-sufficient. We don't need any article, being, circumstance other than the self. Swayam. You are what you need. And this is so beautifully hinted at by Bhagwan, by the Creator. We have many mandirs in Bharat where they have Swayambhu Murtis. If you go to Uttarkashi, if you go to Kashi, those Shivlingas came from the earth as it is. Many of you will be traveling with me to Uttarkashi. I will show you that Swayambhu Linga. And when we go to the mandir in Uttarkashi, what's amazing, when I was there in 2006 during our Vedanta course, the pujari at the Kashi Vishwanatha Mandir, the Somya Kashi Vishwanatha Mandir in Uttarkashi, that pujari used to see Swami Tapovanam come in when he was just a young boy. When the pujari was a young boy, used to see Swami Tapovanam come in and offer Ganga Jal to that linga. That's amazing to know that this pujari saw Swami Tapovanam do this on a daily basis. Why do you travel to Las Vegas? Why do you travel to Jamaica when you can travel to these amazing places? In Shloka 5, we studied how a means is just a means, and a means is not an end. And more specifically, there are two types of Maya. There is avidya Maya and there is vidya Maya. Avidya Maya, vidya Maya. Avidya Maya, which means this expression that is of ignorance and carries us towards more ignorance. And then you have vidya Maya, this expression of ignorance, but it's carrying us towards knowledge. Remember, Maya is all that which is not Brahman. That includes Bhagwan. That includes the Guru Shishya Parampara. That includes everything we're experiencing right now. And to make this more clear, if you realize that you are more than this name and form, you realize you're more than the created, when creation goes away, who else goes away? The creator goes away too, isn't it? But as long as there's creation, there's a creator. But if you realize that you are infinite, then the creator goes away too. So even Bhagwan is Vidya Maya. It is this expression that is not Brahman that's leading us to Brahman. Putting this differently, who is the one that is suffering fear, anxiety, depression? Who's experiencing that? Is it your toenail? Is it the thought of Taco Bell? Is it the laptop in front of you? The sufferer is the ego. Now my next question will be, who is the one who reaches enlightenment? That toenail, that burrito, that MacBook. It is also the ego that strives and reaches enlightenment. So you see, the ego can be part of avidya maya. It can make us more ignorant, but that ego that's aspiring, like all of us, is leading us towards its nature. And one more way to make sure this is totally clear. What is your guru? We usually say, who is your guru? I consciously am saying is, what is your guru? A male? A Canadian? An animal? The wind? What is your guru? Your guru is your intellect. And when we don't follow the intellect is avidya maya. It's making us more ignorant. I am the doer. But when you become sensitive that you're not living up to your potential, that intellect manifests as the guru. Your intellect manifests as the guru, and that guru teaches you to follow your intellect. And then what happens to the guru? The guru goes on his or her way. So even the guru is still part of that maya. Once you reach your nature, the guru is the means, the ego is the means, Bhagwan is the means. And that's what we studied in Shloka 5. Everyone's with me? Okay. We move on to Shloka 6. And if you're listing down all of the poetry that Acharya Shankara is using, in Shloka 2, we studied about cooking. So now every time you use a stove, you shouldn't think about, this is a Whirlpool oven. This is a Panasonic oven. You should think Atma Bodha. You should think that knowledge is what is needed for cooking. So that stove has now become a shloka for you. In Shloka 3, we talked about how a dark room, when light is brought to that room, it goes away right away. So every time you're in a dark room, you should think Atma Bodha. That when knowledge comes in, ignorance will go away immediately. Then we study the poetry in Shloka 4. Whenever you see clouds, you should also be thinking that the sun is still there. Those clouds are relative. The sun is absolute in this example. You are still there. Your nature, just because there's suffering, doesn't mean that suffering is absolute. So every time you're outside, Atma Bodha. And then the last poetry we just studied was about that flock attaching to the algae and both of them sinking. Every time you see a pool, you should be thinking Atma Bodha. Now that's only 5 shlokas. Well, there's 68 shlokas, I believe. So you will finally just experience Atma Bodha all around you. That's awesome. We continue. I'm on Shloka 6, please chant after me. Samsara swapna tulyo hi raga dveshadi sankulaha swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Together, samsara swapna tulyo hi raga dveshadi sankulaha swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satya sadbhavet. Samsara. This is a word we use a whole lot. The meaning of samsara is sarati iti samsara. That which is always slipping away. It's like when there's a fumble in a football game and everyone's running towards the ball. Someone kicks the ball, so you dive for it. Someone hits it with their hand and that ball just keeps slipping away, correct? Nobody can really control that ball. That's just in a 100-yard field. This is happening all the time. That which slips away, that which changes, samsara can also be known as society. Now I take this to a bigger level. Jagat. Jagat means multiverse. The etymology of this word is jayate, gacchati, tishtati. What does jayate mean? That which is born. Gacchati, that which goes. Tishtati, as if it stands. Jagat. We used to call the world flat. Then it became round. Then the sun became the center of the universe. Then we realized that there's a multiverse, correct? See how it keeps changing. And Stephen Hawking said, we will reach a point where that expanding universe will reach its limit and will come back then. Changing. So the multiverse is changing. Society is changing. You know what else is changing? Sharira, this body. Sharira means that which is forever decaying. True? Are we all 1 month older from when we started this course? And not stronger in decay mode, correct? This body is, I'd read, a terminal condition. You can't stop this body from decaying. Swapna tulyo hi. Acharya Shankara is saying here is that this society, this multiverse, this body is like a dream. Swapna. So let's think about this. In a dream, is there space? Think about your last dream. Was there space in your dream? The dimension space. Yeah. So desha is there. In your dream, was there time? Like stuff happened in your dream. You went from experience A to experience B. Time elapsed. Yes? So kala is there also. And in your dream, was there stuff? Trees, desk, food. Yeah? So vastu. So in a dream, there's space, time, and matter. Those dimensions. In the waking state, is there space? Is there time? Yes, Vivek, it's going really slow as you talk about time. Is there matter? So Acharya Shankara is asking us to think that what conditions are in the dream state are in the waking state also. So is the waking state so different than a dream? Whoa. And that's just the first line. We still have lots to discuss about this. What is this waking state? What is this multiverse society body filled with? Raga and dvesha. What does raga mean? Attraction. And wherever there are likes, what has to be there also? Dislikes or aversion. Raga is attraction and dvesha is aversion. And when we think of likes and dislikes, sometimes we think about food. I like this mango pickle and I dislike this garlic pickle. Sometimes it's about people. You know, when people post pictures, I like this picture, or on YouTube, I dislike this video. But you know where our likes and dislikes come out very strongly? It's not about food or people. I find our likes and dislikes come out most strongly when it comes to our responsibilities. Some responsibilities we like and we do right away. Some responsibilities we have an aversion to and we just keep delaying it. No? Like our Bhagavad Gita course students when they have to write their questionnaires. So much delaying. Think about that. For the person who's dharmic, the person who's responsible, they don't have likes or dislikes. This is like breathing. One simply flows with their responsibilities. And I really like this word, sankulaha. You know these words. What does sam mean? Well. What does kula mean? Kula means filled. Kula also means family. Who are the people that live with us or live inside of us? It is our thoughts, no? Thoughts of likes, thoughts of dislikes, thoughts of pleasure, thoughts of pain. You live with your thoughts more than you live with your parents or your siblings or your roommates. They go to sleep. The thoughts keep us awake. Sankula. Next line. Swakale satyavat bhati. Swakale means in time. Satyavat bhati. In time, we come to realize that the dream state is just the dream state, and the waking state is just the waking state. But the key word there is in time. When you're dreaming, do you remember the waking state? When you're dreaming, is there any other state but the dream? See, we're not like Ariadne or Cobb. We're not those characters in Inception who know there's another reality. But you see, even they got trapped too, sort of, at the end of the movie. When you're dreaming, that's the only state. Now you're waking, I hope. Isn't this the only state? When we're sleeping, for sure, that's the only state. Isn't that fascinating that when we're in a state, we believe that state is absolute? But that state keeps changing, so how can it be absolute? Isn't that the truth then? That the dream state and the waking state are both relative, and naturally the sleep state. In time, we come to realize, satyavat, we come to realize that this dream is just a dream, the waking state is just the waking state, that there is more, which comes in the last line, prabodhe. Prabodhe means when we awake. Prabodhe means when we have knowledge. Sat, sati, that means when this happens, asat. We will come to understand the waking, dream, and sleep state are all relative. We will come to understand that all that we feel is going to complete us is relative. We want absolute fulfillment, but what we're experiencing is only relative fulfillment. Bhavet, this will happen. Making this more clear. If you shift from state to state to state, from waking to dream to sleep, and from sleep to waking to dreaming, and this goes on and on and on, every time there's a next state, there has to be a previous state. Yes? If there's a next, there's a previous. If I watch the next Netflix show, there was a previous Netflix show, correct? And don't they say that previously on Narcos, previously on whatever you're watching? So, we get this right now as this class is happening that yes, I'm awake, so this is the present state, this is relative. But how long do we remember that? when you leave your university, when you leave the study group you're in, and you start driving back, and you get a phone call, if you get a phone call that someone is not well and that they really need your help right now, then are you still going to remember that this is relative? Or are we going to forget and succumb to dukkasmi, that I'm just sad, I'm just afraid, and on and on and on? For those who are vigilant, they don't forget. Vigilance and forgetfulness are antonyms to each other. And that's why all of our courses emphasize the need to be more vigilant with our materials, with our mind. To wrap up this shloka, I'm going to give you a tactile point. Atma Bodha is a much more demanding text than Moha Mudgara. Yes, for all of those who've been studying. And sometimes we're unable to filter, how am I supposed to live what this shloka is teaching? So now at the end of each shloka, I am going to give you a tactile thought that could, if you use this, if you do this, this shloka will come to life for you. Here's your tactile thought practice. Every time someone speaks negatively to you, that why didn't you do this? Why are you like that? And you should change your attitude. You make poor decisions. Whatever negativity they vomit out at you, count how many words they say. So suppose I say, you're a loser. 3 words, correct? Now count how many words you actually hear in the day. In a day, how many words do you think you hear? 10,000? 50,000? 100,000? What's 3 divided by 100,000? Right? It's insignificant. Wouldn't that be the tactile point, that when that negativity comes at you, that the negativity is relative, it's not absolute. But when negativity comes at us, we make it absolute right away. We're all drama queens and drama kings, isn't it? You don't need Netflix. Just keep watching how we behave in the day. Keep watching the mind. Even poison can finally be diluted, correct? A drop of mercury in a cup of water is very poisonous. A drop of mercury in the Pacific Ocean, it can be diluted, right? So remember, however many negative words come at you, divide that by how many words come at you. This is so practical. Today, Sheila went to buy some eyeglasses. So Vyasa and I were in the car, and he was sleeping, and I was thinking about a discourse I have to offer tomorrow. And it's near the high school I used to study at. And I saw students walking home or buying food, and I saw this one young boy. He was small, so I presumed he was in grade 9. And he just looked sad. And it made me sad, thinking about how difficult high school is. And it's not really the academics or your locker or buying clothes. It's just the people and playing this social game, isn't it? It's difficult. And I wanted to tell that boy, Atma Bodha. Divide that social words by how many words you hear, and you won't be sad anymore. But he just kept on walking by. If I see him again, I'll tell him I was talking about him in the discourse. Shloka 6 is supported by Shloka 7. So if 6 was a little bit much, 7 will make it clearer. Now, introducing this shloka, I was with Swami Advayananda once. Swami Advayananda is the director of the Chinmaya International Foundation. And he was sharing that it's as if the various states, waking, dream, and sleep, were created by the Creator for us to understand Vedanta. Now think how. In the waking state, don't we come to understand that all is relative? When you're in the waking state, you come to realize all is relative. And the older you get, the more all becomes relative, because your sample size is so large. Now shift to the dream state. Doesn't the dream state show us the power of projection? Because when you're dreaming, the dream universe, the dream population, and the dreamer is just a projection of the mind, isn't it? So the idea that Maya is all a projection, is it really so unfathomable? And then Swamiji said about the sleep state. In the sleep state, we come to tune into oneness, correct? When you're asleep, do you have a name? Do you have a form? Is there space, time, or matter? There's just oneness. So our whole lives, if you're 15-year-olds, 50-year-old, every day we tend to go through these states, and those states are trying to teach us about relativity, about projection, about oneness. So what we're studying is not theoretical, it's actually experiential. We just have to pay attention. Please chant after me. Tavat satyam jagad bhati.
Tavat satyam jagat bhati.
Shuktika rajatam yatha.
Shuktika rajatam yatha.
Yavan nyayate brahma.
Yavan nyanyayate brahma.
Sarvadishthana advayam.
Sarvadishthana advayam.
Together. Tavat satyam jagad bhati. Shuktika rajatam yatha. Yavan nyayate brahma. Sarvadishthana advayam. Acharya Shankara says here, Tavat is then. Okay, you'll see a yavat that will come later. So this is an if-then model. So tavat, then, satyam jagad bhati. The if here is, if one is thoughtless, then all that they experience, they will treat that to be absolute. I want you to reflect for a moment. How do you know that what you're experiencing now, or your whole life, has been real? How do you know what your experiences have been? How do you know if they have been real? In fact, go deeper into that. How do you define what is real? I sound like Morpheus right now, isn't it? How do you define what is real? And the implication of this is, what are you doing if you're not clear about where you came from or where you're going? Do you just turn a car on and drive if you're unclear about where you came from or where you're going? That would be so wasteful, no? Time, fuel. Where did we come from? Where are we going? All of the people in university, what are you in university for? You're also thinking, yes, what are we in university for? But I'm taking it at a deeper level than you're taking it, okay? If we are unclear, where will you go? That's that tavat. If we're thoughtless, I'll continue what will happen. Shuktika rajatam yatha. If we are thoughtless, then we will treat every experience to be real, just like yatha shuktika rajatam. Rajatam means silver. Like imagining silver in a shell. This is a older Indian example. But the idea is that if you're walking on the beach and you see a shell, then you see silver instead. Because it's far away, it's shiny, and so on, that's a big deal, that silver would have washed up from the earth and manifested on that beach. Okay? But the point is, it's a mirage. If we do not inquire into who we are, where we came from, where we're going, then just like that shell is just a shell, it's not silver, all that we are, all that we do will just be a mirage. Now, when I say mirage, our minds immediately go to waves on sand or on a highway. We think of the rainbow in Niagara Falls, but don't be so poetic about it. Think of a mirage practically, personally. A mirage is when we do not have purpose in our lives. That's what a mirage is. If we do not think about our lives, who we are, what we're doing, there will be no purpose. That's what Maya is. Ma means not. Yaha means is. Maya means that which is not. So here I am. I don't inquire, so I think I'm Vivek, but really, I'm not Vivek. I'm more. I think my purpose is to get a good job so I can have a solid home to provide for a family. Maya, that which is not. Think. So yavat comes in here. If na nyayate Brahma, if one doesn't know Brahman, if one doesn't know the truth, if one doesn't know their nature, this meaninglessness will go on forever. Literally forever. Everything else we experience in life, even suffering, comes to an end. I take morphine, I go to sleep, I die. But this meaninglessness, it has to be active. Active in the sense I have to find meaning. That's what Maya is. Don't make it impersonal. This is very personal. When I was near my high school, and thinking about Atma, Bodha and Navaratri and on and on and on. I went back to when I had finished business school. And I started commercial real estate. And I was happy I was finished business school. No more exams. No more people telling me what to do. Now I control my own finances also. And as soon as I got into it, and everything was objectively what I wanted, but that contentment wasn't there. And I waited. I waited for some article. An awesome business deal will come up. Some being, some girl will come into my life. Some circumstance. I will win, not win the lottery, or someone will find me to be this popular, hand model. Just making up stuff that's flowing through my mind right now. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And I was fortunate that Bhagavan taught me to stop waiting and to be active with finding meaning. And so I changed the setup and shifted to our ashram. And not everyone has to do that. That was my trajectory. Don't wait. Because if you're waiting, you're going to wait forever. Literally forever. I'm not saying this poetically, I'm saying this practically. The last line that Acharya Shankara says, if one is ignorant, if one doesn't know Brahman, then one will believe all of their experiences are real, like thinking that there's silver in a shell. So what am I supposed to know? Sarva. Sarva means all space, time, matter, all articles being circumstances. Adhishthanam. Adhishthanam means substratum, support. Know the foundation for all, and know that this foundation is Advaya, which means there's only one foundation. Bringing this more to our lives. If there is a name, Nama, then there has to be a Rupa or form. You don't give names to things that don't have forms, correct? You don't name a car you don't own, correct? But if you own a car, you tend to name your car. Yes? How many of you have a name to your car? I guess that example doesn't work too well. I'll tell you the name of my car. So I call my car Kartavyaha, like Kartavyaha. So kartavya means responsibility. So my car helps me with my kartavya. That's clever, right? And now we drive Sheila's car around because of the car seat and all of that. She has a Honda CRV, so we call this the serve, right? This helps us to serve. But if we didn't have these cars, we wouldn't come up with those names, right? Hey Sheila, let's go in our kartavya. What are you talking about right now? So if there's a name, it's because there's a form. And if there's a form, it's because of satta, or existence. That form depends on existence, which is the foundation for all. Awareness, which is a foundation for all. And here's what we really need to understand, which is joy, ananda, which is the foundation for all. I heard a wonderful quote that shared, if you're happy, it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have. And if you're unhappy, it doesn't matter what you have or what you don't have, isn't it? So what's the foundation? Happiness. And Swami Chinmayananda shares in the commentary the whole snake rope example. If there's a rope, you project a snake, correct? If it's dark. If there's a rope, do you project a giraffe? Do you project a hippopotamus because there's a rope there? If you saw a hippopotamus, would you project a snake? See, that projection, that hologram means that there is a foundation. Yes? So, the fact that all we're experiencing is relative shows that there is that which is absolute also. Here is your tactile thought for this shloka. How many of you chant Brahmarpanam before you eat your meals? Now be honest here. How many of you are desensitized to that chanting of Brahmarpanam? Most of us, right? Chanting Brahmarpanam, we've just become desensitized to that. Brahmarpanam, Brahmavir, Brahma, period, eat. Right? You're in a rush, so it's just a mumble. We're going to try to make ourselves sensitive to this again. Every time you eat food, I want you to remember seeds. S-E-E-D-S, seeds. Because where did that food come from? Seeds, correct? It doesn't matter what kind of food you eat, even if you eat flesh, even if you eat meat. Note how I called it flesh first. If you eat that, even those animals, those vulnerable, innocent animals also survive on seeds, correct? So that's what I want you to remember. And if you're following along with that, how this shloka will come to life is that everything we experience has a foundation. That food we're eating has a foundation too. Every time we eat food, it will help us remember this shloka. And realize that this is not a ritual. This is not external, you just have to remember it. In my travels, Navaratri is actually sometimes a disappointing period for me. Because I see how much of resources and time and effort people put into Garba, people put into puja, people put into creating a golu, but they don't change. See how they're so focused on the ritual, but that ritual actually means nothing because it's not for God. The same people will miss study groups, will not donate, because they believe that's what Navaratri is, because Navaratri is just an externalization, because they don't want to change. You don't have to externalize. It's not a ritual. This is a vision. When I was running the half marathon in Cleveland, it was hot this past Saturday, and the organizers were very smart. They put up a lot of funny signs along the route, this 21-kilometer route. So one of the signs said, "This was a good idea. 16 weeks ago, you thought this was a good idea." Correct? You're running, and 16 weeks ago, you trained for this, but now it's not a very good idea. Another sign said, "Toenails are overrated." And my favorite sign that I saw was, Life is short. Running makes it seem longer. And I was so, I laughed while I was running, and it made me stronger. And I thought this one cardboard sign can make such a difference in my run. Imagine I can remember these most subtle thoughts all the time. Atma Bodha is trying that for us, giving us different ways to look at life. Oh.